Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about security events and take a deep dive into the events and build up a query which will give us a deviation from a baseline across all the servers. Now, to do that, basically we would use Microsoft Log Analytics demo portal, which is available in this URL. And we would definitely start with typing in security event. And as and when we start typing, we can see the table coming up in the intelligence window, and we just hit enter. And the first thing we're gonna do is take one and run the query to kind of see if the logs are at all ingesting. All right. So as you can see, we can see one log, and then this also shows the metadata and one sample input ingested. And there is a field called computer, which basically logs in the host name from which the data is being sent. Now there are multiple machines from where data is sent, but we would like to focus on domain controllers. And how do we do that? um, just by choosing certain particular parameter or naming convention. So you see DC is the naming convention is what it looks like. So we're gonna select and copy, and again we're gonna go a little bit below so that we can get a scope to write a new query. And we start writing the new query, and we type in where computer contains and say DC. So this will give us the results only from the domain controllers. Now that's the first filter, right? And the next thing we're gonna do is write an aggregation query with the summarize operator, and next we're gonna use count and count by computer. So, and we can run the query in two ways, by using shift and enter or by hitting the run button here. And once we do so, you can see there are a couple of DCs in last 24 hours, and the counts are also being shown here, right? Now this is and this is as a whole count altogether, right? Now what we would next do is try to define a baseline, right, which is basically kind of an average across all the DCs. And to do that, we're gonna start with a variable assignment. And first of all, we would say baseline equal to, right now I'm gonna write two scalar because at the end we are going to extract a scalar value out of it. And we again going to go to security event and say summarize count by computer. And once we receive that, we again summarize the average count option, and there we go. And because we are defining this as a variable, we're gonna end it with a semicolon. Now, though we have a time range filter on top, but still we would like to define a custom time range so that we can always alter that and making a little more dynamic in nature. So all we did is define another variable called look back time with 1 hour, and we are going to add that in our query. And as you know, time generated is a field where the time filter is always applied. So we say time generated ago, look back time, and another pipeline operator. Now this is the definition of the baseline, right? And because it's a scalar value, we can print the baseline first. And now let us try to run the query and see if it works. Yes, it works, and we have an hourly average across all the domain controllers. Nope, not all the domain controllers. That's because we have not given this filter. So we're gonna copy this filter, and just after the time generated, we are going to add that filter and take out this extra pipeline over here. And now let's rerun the query, and you see this is the actual average on hourly basis for all the domain controllers which is ingesting data. Now we have the average as of today, right? Now next thing we're gonna look at fetching all the security events from all the domain controllers. So for that we're gonna go to again another line, and we're gonna type in security event, and I would say we use the same time frame, right, and same where condition to pick the DCs and paste it here, and just make the DCs to the next line and take out the additional pipelines. And we are going to summarize this based on the computer. All right. And just because we have put a space, so from line number 12 to 16, it is basically considered as a different query. So that's why it is not able to refer the look back time. And to avoid that, we can comment out the print option and then delete line number 11. And as you can see, entire query got highlighted. Now it's a single query, and the look back time reference is also live now. All right, now let us try to run this query once again. And once we run that, what we see is we see all the domain controller average or last hour's data, right? Now, the next thing what we're gonna do is trying to calculate the deviation. So we say extend deviation equal to, we gonna add the formula of count underscore BL. That's the baseline which we are deriving from our first query, and divided by baseline. So we have the deviation now. All right, and because we only want to see the deviation, so we're gonna project away the count per DC from the result set, and at the end we're gonna render that as a column chart. And this is our final query. So I'm gonna take some more space on top and show you the entire query, and then at this point of time we can remove everything which is in the past, and again delete, do some cleanup as well, and run this query. And once we do so, you can see there are positive and negative deviations happening based on the baseline we have shown here in last 1 hour. So with that, this is a simple and effective query to understand which of your DCs are either generating too much of logs compared to the normal one or the standard one, and lesser logs to the standard one.